Thank you guys for joining me for another episode of Keeping It Real with America's Supermom. I'm excited about my next guest because I am so inspired. Okay, this is a woman who has her own trucking company, and we'll get more into that. But we actually got connected through her mother. I had a event at a community event, and I met her mom, and me and her mom hit it off. We've been to lunch and everything, and she was like, "Well, my daughter would be a good guest for your podcast." So that's how we got connected. So I'm excited to have Alisha here with me today. But before we get into all that, I want to give her the opportunity to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Alisha with Alisha B Inc. and I am a truck driver. I have my own business now since 2014, and I just now started my authority as of this year of January 2021.
Awesome. So, I guess what most people would say is you definitely don't look like a truck driver. So, how did this all begin? And just being a woman, when we talked the first time we got on the call, I was like, hey, those runaway lanes are enough to keep me from getting behind the wheel of a truck. Okay. So, how did you get into it?
I got into it because I started out as a cosmetologist. I used to do hair.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was at work one day and I seen a truck pass by. And I was just like, I wonder where that truck is going. I could do that. So I did my due diligence and ended up enrolling in school. And 15 plus years later, here I am.
Wow. Now, so what was it that attracted you to it? Because, doing hair, it's like having that one-on-one. I don't know. I have my mother-in-law is a beautician as well as my sister-in-law, and how they stand on their feet, I think is the thing that just really kind of deters me. And just having that bubbly attitude for everybody that's in the chair. I don't know. That's just me. I don't think I could do it. But what was it that, because that's a drastic change.
It
You go
is.
from being around people to being by yourself. So
Yeah.
what was it that kind of, prompted that?
Well, well, like you said, standing on my feet all day, that was a lot. And then I felt like I was also a therapist because you hear everyone's
Mm,
problems. And I actually just kind of got bored of doing
mm,
hair. And
mhm,
I just felt like I was just enclosed. I was just in one spot all the time. And I was
mhm.
like, I need to branch out. I need to branch out and do my own thing. But I love doing hair. To this day, I still do love doing hair. I just don't want to do it every day.
Right. I love that. Yeah, and I mean, you might be a good instructor. You could have your own book. Okay, that's something we hadn't
That's
even
okay.
explored, but you could always do some hairstyles, take some pictures, and there you go.
It's
Um, but
true.
so, driving a truck, had you driven before the travel thing? What was it that, how much of an adjustment was this for you?
It was a huge adjustment. The very first time after school was done, and I got into a truck with a trainer, and I thought I was going to be with a woman, and I ended
Mhm.
up with a man. I was like, I don't know about this. And then the first time I drove, it was during the wintertime, so it was snowing, and I never driven in snow. I'm from California. It don't snow in San Francisco, and so here I am in Utah with my trainer going downhill in snow. I was like, I can't do this. I pulled the truck over. I said, you have to do it. He he was good. He was good. He talked me through it. We got down the hill safely. I went really slow. I think all the drivers probably gave me the finger as they passed me by. I was like, I don't care. I don't care. They were talking all on the CB. I was like, it's distracting me. Can you turn it off? So my very first time, I was like, no, this is not for me. I can't do it. I want to go home. And he just talked me through it and was like, Alisha, you could do this. You already went through the school. That was the hard part. This part is the easy part. Now I was looking at him like, no, it can't be. We didn't do the snow.
Right.
So luckily I was with a trainer during those winter months. And
Mm.
that helped me out a lot because we went through like black ice. It was
Wow.
scary. So now, like, I'm a pro. So now, yeah,
Well,
now,
that's good. You learn with the hardest thing first, so that's good.
yeah.
So, and with the trainer, so now
Hmm.
that you're by yourself, you've already had that experience and somebody coaching you through that. So, that's amazing. Now,
Yes,
did you get to choose where you started? How did that work?
I did not get to choose that. They just threw me in there, and whatever load, we just took the load and left and went cross country from California, no, from Utah to New York to, I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, what comes up for me is bridges, girl. Going over some
New
bridges
York
and stuff.
bridges is scary. Oh,
Yes,
Chicago. Chicago's the worst. Chicago.
really.
Yeah, it was so many different ones. I was like, that says 13 feet. I can't fit under there. He's like, oh, they
Um,
redid it. They changed it. They just forgot to put the sign up. I'm like, how you forget to put the sign up?
that's
Because I made a complete stop. I was like, I can't
wow.
fit it. But
Now,
yeah,
what about, do we have, like, any tunnels that you had to go through or anything like that?
yes. In Chicago,
Okay,
tunnels.
okay.
New York, some of the tunnels. The uh, what's that bridge? George Washington Bridge. That
Washington
was
Bridge.
yeah. First time going under there or over it. Yeah, I was like, this look pretty low. Am I gonna hit it?
Wow. This is awesome. Now, so, I'm sure you have learned so much about yourself.
I have.
Like, what are you afraid of now? You know what I mean? I'm thinking that would
Ooh,
be a big obstacle for me to overcome. So, like, are you afraid of bugs or, I don't know. I mean, it just seems like you would have a different mindset from overcoming something like that.
definitely. I am afraid of bugs. I haven't gotten I can drive that big tractor trailer, 53-foot trailer behind me, and yeah, and whip it and all of that, back it up, blind side, all of that. But when it comes to the bugs, I'm gonna scream and I'm running. Yeah.
That's
But
awesome.
it definitely pushed myself. I definitely did
Mhm.
push myself through the whole situation. So I'm proud of me for that.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's quite an accomplishment. Now, and
Mhm.
so being able to stick with it for 15 years, I think this is good because a lot of people watching, that's you made a drastic change. And a lot of people in this space now, they've been kind of forced into a drastic change.
Yeah.
But you've done it and you've done it successfully. So, what insight would you give somebody who is at that point to maybe wanting to do something different or feeling like they have no other option, in order to tackle such a drastic change in their career? What are some pointers that you could give them?
I would definitely say don't give up because it's gonna be tough. The first year is the toughest.
Mm-hmm.
The pay sucks. You don't get to go home. The dispatchers are gonna lie to you. I don't so you just have to stick it out.
Mm,
And if you mess up in their equipment before trying to get your own, because they'll push you like after 6 months, some companies will push you like, oh, do you want to lease a truck now? And it's like,
mm,
no, 6 months. And then they even have you wanting to like, oh, you could become a trainer. I don't want to train with somebody with 6 months experience.
right.
So at least get that first year under your belt. When I say the first year, that's all 4 seasons. So once you
Mm.
can accomplish that, you're good to go from there.
That's good. I love that because I think, and I'm glad that you mentioned seasons because many of us, when we get into business, we just think, oh, I have this great idea. We forget about the seasons.
Yeah.
We forget about, sometimes it's a feast and sometimes it's a famine and, what we have to do in between those times. So I love that you mentioned that things are different based on what season it is for your business or just in everyday life. So
Yes.
that is great. Now, so let's fast forward now to where you've done this driving for so long and you desire to have your own business. What was that transition like? And what point did you say, you wanted to do more and have your own?
Well, I end up getting my own truck after becoming a company driver. Then I did a lease purchase,
Mm-hmm.
but still, the company still owns the equipment, no matter
Mm-hmm.
what. It's never yours.
Mm.
And then I was debating, like, okay, do I want to buy this truck outright or do I want to get my own truck? So I went back and forth with that, the pros and cons. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to go get my own truck. So
Mm.
then I gave them back their truck, bought my own truck, paid it off, ran under, who did I run for? Landstar. I leased
Mm-hmm.
my truck on a Landstar, paid it off. And then I was like, well, I still kind of want to do more of my own thing, even though I was picking my own loads,
Mm-hmm.
but it was still, still a whole nother thing because you're dealing with the brokers and sometimes they double book a load and you
Mm.
get there and the shipper is like, this load has already been picked up. So I'm like, okay, this is a whole nother game that I have to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I was a owner operator for about 5 years, about
Mm-hmm.
5 years. And then I said, enough is enough. I'm ready to do my own thing all the way. So I looked into getting my own authority,
Mm-hmm.
see what it entitled. I was like, oh, okay, so this is what it entails. And so did all of that, got my authority up and running. And so I needed freight, but I still didn't want to really deal with all of the brokers.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually signed on with Amazon. And I still deal
Mm.
with the brokers as well, but a lot of it is from Amazon. So now I'm a carrier for Amazon and it's great because it's a work life balance. I
Mm.
know what I'm doing every week. I can calculate my money every week. I don't have to play this guessing game.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm grateful that I was able to get on with them. And so, with that being said, next year I will be looking to hire drivers.
That is awesome. Now, I'm glad that you're on. It's so timely that you're on because we have heard a lot in the news recently about food shortages and people not being able to get supplies. The car industry has been affected. We've got everything really with
Yeah.
this domino effect from COVID. So what have you noticed as a driver, in terms of how it affects your industry with some of these things that are happening?
Well, as a driver, I noticed that, well, with Amazon, I haven't been affected.
Mm.
Certain brokers, because like you said, the car industry, the auto parts, they stopped making the auto parts because then the COVID stuff happened with the manufacturing. And it's hard to get parts for trucks to get our trucks worked on. So a
Mm.
lot of people don't even realize that. So when our trucks go down, we're like, okay, well, how long are you back ordered for this part? And however long it is. So, but eventually it gets to us
Mhm.
or the mechanic, but it definitely made a big dent. It hit us hard.
Wow.
Mhm.
So, what are some things that you've noticed in terms of areas that people still should be watching for that you might have noticed just with some of your freight loads or other people that may be, drivers as well that, you said Amazon is doing well for you, but some other areas that still seem a little shaky, as we approach towards the end of the year?
Yeah. Definitely food. I know I heard about food products and then of course the automotive,
Mhm.
but that's all I've really heard. Some places already went out of business.
Wow.
Um, so you can't even haul for them anymore. I can't remember the name. Sorry. Can't remember the name
Wow.
of it, but yeah. So that affected a few companies actually have to close down their doors. So
Wow. Yeah.
mhm.
So, I tell you, it's just crazy how things, if you don't recognize it every day, it's not under your radar. You really don't realize how intricately connected all these moving parts are. You know, it's
Yeah.
like who would ever thought that, getting car repairs would affect the truckers, or, some of
Right.
this stuff, or even like essential supplies for hospitals and medical. I'm sure like we went through with these masks at first, you couldn't
Oh,
get them, you know?
nothing. You couldn't get what? You couldn't get alcohol,
Mhm.
rubbing alcohol,
Mhm.
gloves,
Mhm.
Band-Aids.
Yeah.
Band-Aids was hard to find one at one point too.
Yeah.
So,
So,
toilet paper.
what kind of preparation are you looking to do? You said you are going to be expanding when it comes to having drivers, but you know, just in with you being in trucking, what type of advice would you give people as you see some of the impact with other areas affecting your industry? How do you kind of prepare for that, or establish some kind of safety net within reach for yourself that we might get some insight from?
For myself, I normally just run during the peak season really, really
Mhm.
hard
Mhm.
because it's just a domino effect, like you said. Because
Mhm.
at some point, trucking just go up and down.
Okay.
January through March, I believe. January through March, April, the pay go down. Then it
Oh.
starts to go back up. So you want to run as hard as you can or as much as you can. Save up a lot of money because when it starts to go down, it's going to hit. And then when you have manufacturers closing down and
Mhm.
chicken products not available, say if you haul chicken, you pick up chicken all the time, and there's bad chicken, you can't even
Mm.
pick it up. So just save your money, really. A lot of
Mhm.
people get this misconception that truck drivers make a whole lot of money. You really don't in the beginning. In the very,
Mhm.
very beginning, it takes a lot of years to build.
Mhm. And
So
that's true. I mean, I think that's like with any business is,
yes.
kind of navigating through those seasons, like what you said,
Mm-hmm.
because every day is not a feast. And, if you have that mindset ahead of time to understand that you want to create the lifestyle. So living in a way that you can manage that rather than being managed by what's going on in society. So I think that's a great point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, so how do you handle the mindset in terms of being, a female in a predominantly male industry? What are some things that you do in your routine that kind of helps you to stay confident and, you know, um, having that added spunk, to come across anybody? I'm sure, like, you're calling and some people may think you're a dispatcher, and it's like, no, this is my company. So, how do
Yeah.
you stay grounded with that?
I work out a lot. I work out.
Mhm.
I also do yoga.
Mhm.
That's what you see behind me, that aerial yoga up top.
Okay.
Um, but actually, a friend of mine, he started this app for truck drivers called Iron Trucker Fitness.
Mm.
And I was like, okay, I like the sound of that. So I downloaded the app and he showed me what to do. And you work out with your rig when you're over the road, because sometimes you can't even get to a gym, even though
Mm.
they're all over. Sometimes you just can't make it. So in the
Mhm.
meantime, when I can't make it, I just open up that little nifty app and just do my little exercises, what it's telling me to do, or what I'm trying to work at. If I'm trying to work my arms, upper body strength,
Mhm.
then I'll like do push-ups with the steps of the truck, or I do
Mm.
like lunges with the steps of the truck. So it's a lot of good information on that app.
Love that. Now, and so give us some tips also on like healthy eating. Because you're on the road, sometimes a place might not be open, time
Mhm.
changes, all
Mm.
that kind of thing. So, what are some healthy things that we could have with us at all times when it comes to you traveling like you do?
Me myself, I don't know if you heard of moringa.
Mhm.
I I take the moringa pills when I'm on the truck. When I'm at home, I have the powder and I cook with the powder. So I'll
Mhm.
bring those with me. I'll take two a day.
Okay.
if I'm on the truck. Um, Moringa is like the greatest thing ever to me. And then I also make my own food on the truck. I have a lunchbox oven that you can plug in the cigarette lighter. It cooks everything. It might take a little minute, but it cooks. It cooks a whole lot. So I'll
Mm.
prepare my food before I leave the house. So say if I want, let's say if I want some meatloaf or something, I'll do a chicken barbecue meatloaf. Instead of using ground beef, I use ground chicken and put some
Mm.
barbecue sauce on top of it. I'll just put it in a little meatloaf pan and put it in my little lunchbox oven and I cook it. And I make me mashed potatoes. I'll make a kale salad. You know, I have a refrigerator, so I'll just store everything in the fridge and I just cook it as I'm driving. If I know I may stop like at a rest area, like, okay, I got about 2 more hours before I get to my location. This gonna take about an hour and a half to cook. I just put it right there on my side and we just drive down. So about time I get there, it's ready. And then I'm waiting to get unloaded and I'm just eating away.
That is awesome. I had never heard about a lunchbox oven, so that's
Yes.
good.
Yeah.
Something you can probably get on Amazon, right?
You can get it on you probably can get it on Amazon. I bought mine in the truck stop. Amazon wasn't available at the time. You know, they
Okay.
weren't Amazon at that time when I bought mine.
Okay. That
Yeah.
is awesome. And so, let's talk a little bit. This would be the last question because I could go on forever, about negotiating contracts. So you
Hmm.
mentioned like brokers, you're actually dealing with Amazon, and a lot of people are intimidated by that, because they have this quote unquote process. The brokers usually deal with the truckers, and going against that, I wouldn't say going against it, but just being able to empower yourself to be more entitled to managing what kind of money you want to make for yourself, cutting out the
Mhm.
middleman. So,
Yeah.
what advice would you give people to have those conversations? How do they begin? Who do they start talking to, and that type of thing?
Oh, that one, I'm still trying to figure some of it out because I'm actually looking to do a direct contract. Um,
Mm,
so that's the first thing to try to cut out the middleman, which is the broker. They probably
mm-hmm.
don't want to hear me say that, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
But when I was dealing with the brokers, I remember pulling the brokers had the contracts. And
Uh,
in particular, the broker had like a FedEx contract, and I would pull that contract for them like 3 times a week from
mm,
Indianapolis to Georgia, and then
mm-hmm.
from Georgia to Florida, and do it all over again. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they got the contracts, but I'm trying to figure that one out too. But with
Mm,
Amazon, to me, Amazon, it was a process with Amazon. They are very, very particular. But as long as
mm-hmm.
you have everything that they ask for, it's mainly the insurance. They have a whole requirement list.
Mm-hmm.
But the insurance is the tricky thing. It needs to say it verbatim what's supposed to be on there. And
Mm-hmm.
I had to go back and forth and work with my insurance agent. And then once we got it together, it was good to go. It
Yeah.
was really
So,
good to
like, yeah, the things about making sure you're bonded and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm. Well, this has just been great. I'm so inspired. I tell you, it's just something to see what you have accomplished. And, 15 years doesn't even seem like a long time, really. I mean, it goes by quick. I mean, for me being a parent, it's
Uh-huh.
like, where did the 15 years go? I mean, I like today, I have a 27-year-old. Today's his
All right.
birthday.
Happy
And it's like,
birthday.
man, I still feel the same, but I'm like, man, I remember when I was 27. Was just
Yes.
having you.
Yes.
And now you 27. So, that time goes by quick, but I
It
think it's
does.
just amazing what you have
Yeah.
accomplished,
Thank
to
you.
take on something so drastically different than how you started, and you are thriving, and in spite of a pandemic. We just got done with that. So
Yeah.
um I would say, in closing, what advice would you give people about never giving up, because that was one of the things that you said, it can be hard and going
Yes.
through all the seasons, but we went through a pandemic, and
Ooh.
now this pandemic is still shady. It's always something, but you are still expanding. You're going to be hiring in the new year. So, what advice would you give us about not giving up, and what are some things that you do to make sure that doesn't happen?
Definitely have a great support system. Have good people around you, not a lot of yes people saying, oh, you can do it when you really can't. If you know you can't and you don't really feel it in your heart, don't do it. But if you feel it in your heart and you just like, man, I'm giving up, don't give up. Just
Mhm.
push through. Even if you have to like talk to other drivers that you meet along the way,
Mhm.
we can give you the whatever advice, or something like, hey, what about this or what about that. We can probably tell you like, oh, this is what we went through, this is how
Mhm.
you get through it, you know so but just keep the circle around you really close.
Good advice. Now, so what's the best way for the audience to get a hold of you?
Alisha B Inc at gmail.com,
Mhm.
and Alisha B Inc number 1 at gmail.com. And then the phone number is 1866 Alisha B.
All right. Well, we want to thank you so much, Alisha, for coming on today. And again, like I said, very
Yeah.
inspiring. I'm excited to, hear all the things that you have going for yourself. I just think it's just amazing.
Thank
And
you.
definitely, I will keep you on speed dial for a lot of people that, want to have you on as a speaker, because I think it's important for women to be empowered to realize that, there is no limit to what we can do. It's just our own mindset. If we believe that we can do it, just get with the right people that can be a support group so you can get it done.
Yeah, you people, the good people really will push you through. Will push you
Mhm.
like, no, you can't give up. What are you doing?
Mhm.
Oh, this is what you're supposed to do.
So
Once
true.
the stars align, they're aligning, and you just have to do it. Just get out of your own way.
So true. That is so true. Well, thank you so much again. And we want to thank you guys for watching us today. We have really enjoyed your afternoon that you spent with us. If you have any questions for Alisha, you can reach her by email, or you can put it in the comments, and we'll be sure that she will get those answers to you. But in the meantime, share this video. If you're inspired, you're a woman, you're like, what? Trucking, her own business, share it with somebody else, because you never know how that can inspire them. It may not be trucking, but it might be something else. Maybe they're a trucker and they want to go back to doing hair, right? You just never know.
That's right.
So share it. But we want to thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you all on the next episode. Bye for now.